Hello, welcome to Working Dragon Mystic, where we discuss real metaphysical and occult knowledge so that you can manifest real and tangible results in your life. This week, we're continuing our series on the Goetia with the 52nd spirit of the Goetia. Alloces is how I've always heard it pronounced. I've also heard it pronounced Alloces, but Alloces is how most of the people I've worked with have pronounced it. So that's probably how I will pronounce it here in this video. There's been a few times I switch up, but Alloces is how I've usually heard it pronounced. Honestly, this is an interesting spirit for me. It always has been, and let's get into this. So, as you all know, we go through these little by little. We cover the major, most common aspects of the spirit that people will encounter to give you a good overview of the spirit. Right now, we are recording this live in our online community over at workingdragonmystic.com. If you want to join any of our topics live and get early access to the topics before they're ever even uploaded to Rumble or YouTube, join us over at the community. It's absolutely free. And when you're there, if you choose to sign on as a supporter, you can get access to supporter-only content, topics, workshops, and a bunch more. We also have newsletters at both the free area and the supporter area. So with those out of the way, let's get into this. So appearance, we usually start with the appearance of these entities. This particular spirit appears in the form of a soldier riding upon a great horse. His face is like that of a lion, very red and having flaming eyes. His speech is hoarse and very big. You got to love the way they used to phrase things. So that is how the Goetia would traditionally present how this is described. Now, in all honesty, when I've worked with this, yes, he has shown up as a soldier. In all honesty, most of the time it's in some kind of Roman gear is what I've seen. Other people have mentioned more modern appearances, dressed in cavalry gear too. That probably comes from the fact that he's riding a horse, right? I personally never seen cavalry gear on him, but that's okay. His face definitely does look like a lion, and most of the times when he's appeared to me, like if you just took a lion's head, stuck it on a soldier, on a Roman soldier, that's kind of what I think about, or what I see. It don't even have the helmet. I always want to see the helmet. I really want to see a lion with a Centaurian helmet shoved down on its head so its mane's all smushed in. I really want to see that. So far, he's never appeared that way. I can keep hoping, keep dreaming, living the dream. You know what I mean? The very red, I'm going to guess, means his eyes, because every time I have seen him, his eyes are very, very red. And, you know, the very red does follow that red and having flaming eyes. And yes, it is kind of red, fiery eyes that I've seen. Now, talking with colleagues and my personal experiences here, that can literally mean red eyes that look like they have flames in them, quite literally flames, or it can just look like bright, glaring, or glowing red eyes. I've seen it in both aspects during evocation. So your mileage may vary on that one, of course. And hoarse speech. Well, if you know what hoarse speech sounds like, that's kind of it. And yeah, very big. It like his voice carries, right? I originally thought this would mean he himself was very big, right? I really did. But he's never actually shown any larger than what I would expect a human to be anytime I've worked with him. But his voice, no matter how soft spoken he may seem to be speaking, it's like his voice carries for miles. It's really kind of an amazing thing. So even though it's debated amongst practitioners, I honestly think the very big does apply to the speech. All right. Now, let's get into the associations most often represented by this spirit in the Goetia. Rank, he's a duke. Metal most often associated with him is copper. Planet most often associated with him is Venus. The color most often associated with green. And with all the references to red, that just always like causes a kink in my brain. I know it shouldn't. It's his eye color shouldn't have nothing to do with the color associated with him. I know that, but my stupid brain don't know that half the time. So it just causes kink in my brain, but the color most often associated is green, and the element most often associated with him is fire. Okay. Now, areas that you can work with this entity. Now, in the original Goetia, it was very plainly stated astronomy and drawing familiars. That's pretty much all it said, which this day and age doesn't really help a lot of people. Um, Astronomy is pretty much understanding where the placement of the planets are, right? It's not even astrology in the sense of divination. It's just astronomy, the science of, studying the sky, which, don't get me wrong, is very fun in my mind. Some people don't like it as much. And drawing familiars. Now, when we talk about drawing familiars, this is an interesting one because familiars is a word that's been used over the years in very different ways. Some familiars are familiar spirits. Traditionally, it was familiar spirits, spirits that this entity knows, that work for this entity, that this entity can allow to assist you for a temporary short time. They don't give you them, they don't belong to you. They're essentially little workers that he sends to you, right? That is what, when they say familiars in the Goetia, they're talking about. They're talking about those familiar spirits that work with this entity. So that would be what that would be referencing specifically, right? When we talk about an animal familiar or a familiar spirit that follows a person through their life, that is something else. And perhaps that describing those differences, it would be another great topic for a later date. In fact, if you're interested in that topic and you're watching this, whether it's in the community or watching this on Rumble or YouTube, once it goes live over there in a few weeks, let me know if you're interested in that concept. All right. Now, to more modernized but applicable and easy to understand uses that many magicians have found quite functional. Give answers to direct questions seeking wisdom regarding what project or path will most likely manifest. Okay? Now, that's actually kind of a good one. Some people view this as a divination ability, and it could be under the definition of divination in its most strictest sense. It could, but understand what he's doing here. You have to ask him a very direct, specific question. Okay? It has to have a direct question. It can't be vague or anything like that. I know a lot of people who like to make everything they say so vague, in which case he will never answer. He won't give you an answer. Vagary won't work. It has to be direct and specific. And you have to be seeking wisdom regarding that project or path. So whatever project you're working on in your life, whatever path you're trying to pursue in your life, whether it be college, career, doesn't matter, hobbies, he can advise you on what direction, or even if there's a multiple choice, like, you got three options in front of you, which one's most likely going to manifest the result to the life that you're hoping to do. That kind of concept. You can directly ask and he can advise you and give you the options and wisdom and insights so that you can best make the choice with the information at your hand. He won't tell you which path to take. Okay. So some people find that useful, others don't. I personally love that because I love information. I love perspectives. So I do occasionally speak with this entity or other entities to get their viewpoints and perspectives and wisdom regarding choices in my life. And that's pretty much exactly what this comes down to. This one, you just have to be very specific in how you ask it. Some people even keep it straight to yes or no's. But I don't think yes or no's is actually the best use of this. I actually like to give a very specific question like, I have three options that I'm looking at. Of these options, how will they affect my life and growth and goals that I'm seeking to achieve? And listen to his wisdom on it. Like I said, he won't tell me yes or no. He won't tell me good or bad, will or woe, or however you want to say it, but he will give me his wisdom and insight on each choice. And then it's up to me to choose. Okay. The next one, and this is actually probably one where most people do jump on working with this spirit. Bind a specific person who you name so they can do you no harm. Straight up protection magic, right? This one requires you to name the person that you know. It has to be a specific person. It can't be a group. It can't be an ideal. It has to be a specific person, right? It has to be like Bob the Builder. It has to be a very specific person. Dora the Explorer, Skeletor. It has to be a very specific person that when you're naming them for this, in which case he can actually bind them to prevent them from doing you harm. That being said, if you are in worries or fear of someone, I would still do other things. Yes, it's always great to have an entity watching your back, but I never put all my eggs in one basket, personally speaking, when it comes to safety and self-defense. So take that as you will. It's your life, your choice, right? The next one, and this, I love this one. Most people say this in a lot of different ways, but it's to make the wise become foolish, right? And that's pretty straightforward. You take a wise individual, an intelligent individual, whatever it may be, they got their shit together. You can make them a blubbering idiot for a short time. And he will do that. He will help you take a wise person and make them seem the fool. And it does manifest in many, many ways. Usually it's in the appearance. Some accident's going to befall, some tomfoolery or something. They're going to make a misspeak, a mispublication, something to make them look like a fool. Doesn't actually regress or degrade their intelligence or their wisdom anyway. It's just a matter of what the perception is from the events that play forth. And it is temporary. It's not like a permanent fool. So it's not like going to permanently remove competition or anything, if that's what you're thinking. So a lot of people do use that one in order to get the edge on opponent, maybe outsmart them or outthink them. And the next one here, which I believe, yes, it is the last one. I wanted to double check my notes to make sure it was the last one. Help read the emotions of others even when they are attempting to be hidden, right? This makes me think of all my friends back in the day who are poker players. Any of you all, which I know a few do, watching this channel, hi, hope you're doing well and hope you're winning big. This is literally the ability to read a person even through their poker face, right? We've seen this. I know in my generation and growing up and even today, we talk about having a professional's face of, don't show what you're thinking on your face, and it really drifts into poker. My generation, we grew up on Tales of the Old West, Doc Holliday, Wild Bill, all them. And having a good poker face was always a good trait to have. And I absolutely do think having a good poker face is a good thing, because whether you're talking to someone, whether you're negotiating, whether you're playing Monopoly, the ability to be able to think and calculate without someone knowing what's reading it on your sleeve is always helpful, right? I truly believe that. This entity can also help you read that person's emotions a bit and kind of get a bearing on what they're feeling, even when they're attempting to hide it from you. Now, hands down, not going to lie, the most common use for this I know of is when someone's going to a casino. Straight up, I'm not going to lie. I'd like to say it's something profound, it's not. It's casino. That's the most common use for this particular ability I have ever heard. So much so that I actually went to some of my journals and looked at some of the notes I have, and the number is like 85%. It was redonkulous. At the same time, let's be honest, that's really useful too, right? So there you go. But outside that, there are other good uses for it. How many times have we all had a friend or someone who we thought they were really having a hard time? They were really going through some shit, but they wouldn't open up. They wouldn't talk to us. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying you don't have a right to privacy. You do. You do. I'm a person. I don't tell everything I'm thinking. I don't tell everything I'm feeling. I like to try and deal with things myself. But I've also got enough life experience to know that there is a point and a time where I need to find someone I can trust and I need to talk. And I always make a point to do that, right? And generally, like if I'm mulling something over for a week, 2 weeks max, if I haven't come to a conclusion, haven't dealt with it, haven't processed it, I talk to someone I trust. Absolutely. we do need to chat. We do need to talk. We don't need to become blubbering idiots, but it's good to have a friend to talk to. It really is. So yeah. But at that same time, we do have that person 2, 3 weeks, a month, maybe going on. They may be struggling with something. We don't know what it is. We want to help, but we can't help. They don't want to talk to us. Getting a read on their emotional state can help you get a read on what kind of friend to be when you're around them. It helps you when you're around them be a better friend that can, even if they're not talking, even if you don't know what they're going through, it gives you an idea on, do you need to do something to make them happier? Do you need to go easier on them? Those kinds of things, which can help them easily overcome that obstacle just because being around you is easier. It makes life easier because you've already got that kind of read on them. And that's not prying into their privacy or anything. It's just you getting an understand of what your friend's going through and allows you to be a better friend to them while they're going through it. Absolutely doable. um, that being said, though, you can also use it in other cases. Like I know people who have used this if they're going to the club to try and pick up a date or meet someone. Or I've actually seen people use it in speed dating, which why anybody would that's a baffling concept to me. I'm old school, but they would use it because that gives them an emotional reading on what the person across from is thinking while they're talking. Fine, fair, cool, no problem. So get creative with it. There's been plenty of ways to use it, and maybe we can shift those numbers a little bit, get it away from gambling being the 80% use. I mean, let's work on getting gambling down to 50%. All right, let's try that, world. Let's see if we can do that. I think we can do it. All right. Now, everyone here in the chat, if you have any questions, do drop them over here. After we are done recording this, I will be taking questions and we'll be doing some chatting. But next thing up will be the sigil. Of course, sigil will be right here if you're watching on YouTube or Rumble. For those joining me live, the thumbnail for this live chat is actually the sigil. Pretty interesting sigil. I like it. That's pretty much it. I mean, it's a straightforward, easy one. The Dukes are usually straightforward and easy. I've noticed that in this series. The Dukes are usually, not always, but usually straightforward. I will again tell you all, if you are interested in supporting us, check us out over at workingdragonmystic.com where you can join our online community. There will be links below here. You can find us on YouTube and Rumble, but the Mighty community is hands down the best way to get in touch with us. At the Working Dragon Mystic community, you will find a great community to talk to, ask questions to. I'm in there practically all the time. It's the easiest way to get in touch with me, bar none. We do regular workshops and experiments for the free community, not just the supporter community. There are some workshops and stuff that are for the supporter community only. The online school is also over there now, and all supporters to the community get full access to all of the Working Dragon Mystic online school. All the published courses, you get full access to them as part of being a supporter. And anytime we publish a live workshop at the school, instead of having to reserve your seat and pay for your seat, you get free access to those workshops as well. Which those have been very, very popular in the past. And we got a lot of great ones coming up, including more on the seasonal dragons and the supporters. Well, no, that's not going to be the supporters. Next year, actually, or this winter, we're starting a full year-long path working that's based around the draconic rulers and the seasonal dragons that one could repeat every year. So it's going to be a really cool thing that we're doing there. We do have a path working that we're starting in the supporter section that we're actually going to show how to build your own path workings, and we're going to actually walk through and give a example of that next year. That is, I think everyone's really excited about it. I'm looking forward to it myself. So with that, check us out. Just poke your head in, say hi. You don't have, like I said, the general community, absolutely free, no cost. You can sign up on your phone or on your computer. I use it on my computer most of the time, but that's me. I don't like dealing with phones. All right, everyone. Hope you've enjoyed this. And if you find any of these particular bullet points interesting, I would encourage you to go ahead and reach out to this particular spirit of the Goetia and see about working with them. You might actually find it fun. And quite frankly, if you just love staring at the night sky and the stars, also reach out with them. I'm not going to lie, there's nothing wrong with working with this entity as you lay out on a blanket, sipping some coffee, looking at the night sky, and talking the stars. It's pretty freaking nice. I love it. I do it when I go camping, straight up. All right. All right, everybody, take it easy, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.